Hi guys, my name is Isaac. I'm gonna talk about surveying. So in this topic, I choose the underground surveying. So I'm gonna explain about it. And before that, I'm gonna talk about difference between underground surveying and this normal surveying which we do on everyday life. So and with that, I'm gonna talk about advantages. So advantages about underground surveying. Yeah. So what is underground surveying? Underground surveying is a surveying which is performed beneath the surface of the earth, and it's mostly done in tunnels. So that's underground surveying. And the difference between underground surveying and on land surveying is a lot of difference. So if we start on point wise, first, we don't have light underground. So the sun rays don't come that down. So what happens is like people usually carry torches, and people who work underground, they need heavy light torches. They are not like the normal torches that we use daily in our day to day life. And yeah. So and in those conditions, we it's too difficult for us to read vernier or calculus readings, or to do or perform any serving stuff. So yeah, it's there's a lot of poor lighting. Okay. So and second point is the way the place is also too small. So working in that place, it's a bit congested, or you can even say cramped. And basically in our surveying, what we do is we take benchmarks for leveling. And actually it must be set on the roof for passageway, to minimize the disturbance from operations being carried on the workings. So that even if you compare between on land surveying and that, on land we can easily set benchmarks, or even if you want, we can even conduct plane table surveying very easily. But when you go underground, it's actually too tough. So that's a lot of difference. And instruments stations are set with difficulty, with plungs must be driven in two driven holes in rocks. What it means is the instruments are actually drilled into rocks. So it makes a lot of difference. It's actually too tough. In many instances, underground versus workings are too the places are wet, with water will be dripping from the roof of passageways, and running on the floors. So it's actually too difficult to carry out surveying, as you can see in this pic. So basically what happens is the it's too wet, and the lighting is also too dim. And at places like this, surveying is too difficult to carry out. So that's what happens in underground surveying. And on next step, the advantages of underground surveying. The major advantages of underground surveying is in construction of tunnels and other underground utilities. The tunnel is constructed when an open excavation becomes uneconomical, usually when it is more than 20 meters. What happens is underground tunnels are digged when it's too tough. Like, see, if you open up the whole layer of earth, like what happens is, the if there are any harmful gases, they all are released out. Or if the earth is too much polluted, so to reduce it, what people do is, like, they dug tunnels, so that like they dug tunnels and then they remove all the stuff they want. Like, for example, if it is a gold mine, they remove gold, or if it is a coal mine, they remove coal. And they are yeah, after a period of time, like if the coal is like if the coal is totally digged out, or if the gold remains are finished, then they just fill it with mud again. So the earth is not like, it's not completely wasted. So, and it's actually it's actually a lot better than digging the whole thing out and stuff like that. So uh, after that, surveying, like underground surveying is basically three types: surface surveying, transferring alignment, and underground transferring the alignment underground, and levels in tunneling. So it's actually divided into three parts. So those three parts are surface surveying, transferring, and the alignment underground, and levels in tunnels. So first thing, surface surveying. Surface surveying connects points representing each portal of the tunnel. Transfers connecting the portal points determines the azimuth, distance, and differences in elevation of each end of the proposed tunnel based on local conditions and proposed length of the tunnel. The methods of working are adopted. And second point, it is always advisable and that the survey is based on the suitable local coordinate system. The alignment is permanently referred by the system of monuments within an area outside reach each tunnel portal. And here is sketch regarding how to tunnel workers proceed. So this is the stuff. Like, basically the staffs are like backside, and plumb bobs are inside the rock, as you can see. So theodolite is set up, which is double centered alignment. Face of the tunnel is on the towards the right. And so that's the stuff. And the central line and stakes within the tunnel are usually set in roof to avoid displacements and destruction by the constant flow of people and machinery as construction proceeds. If the stakes are set on the floor, they should be offset into an area along the tunnel edge. So the second part is where transferring the alignment undergrounds. So for long tunnel excavations is carried inward from both parties, but vertical shafts are also sunk up to the required depth and along the alignment of the tunnel at intermediate locations along the routes. The vertical alignment can be done by plumb bob or optical collimator or laser. So heavy plumb bob around 5 to 10 kgs is suspended to either wire of heavy twine. Oscillations of the bob can be controlled by suspending it into the pot with a high viscosity oil. The bob is suspended from a removable bracket attached to the surface side of the shaft. So the second part is optical plumbing, which becomes an important part with the increasing of the depth of internal shaft. Various types of plummet are available for upward downward sliding to allow the establishment of vertical line. And these are normally manufactured so as to be inchargeable with theodolites on their tripods. And as the line of sight of a theodolite is adjustment with transit in a vertical plane, it can also be used to check perpendicularity. The advantages of optical collimator are more that they are more convenient than plumb bob. They can be used to set mark directly on the floor of a completed shaft, and there are no wires in the case of plumb bob. So next step is a laser equipment can be used to provide a vertical line of sight. Laser generates a light of beam and of high intensity and of low angular divergence, and can be projected over long distances, since the speed of beam is very small, to provide a visible line of constant reference. Like as you all know, like the laser, it is a straight line, like it doesn't deviate at all, so it can be used. And for straight lines, levels in tunnels, in a transferring level of underground, a little difficulty is encountered at the ends of tunnel, but the shaft use is made of steel tape, chain, construction rod, steel wires. Nowadays, EDM is also used, but in all cases, the main idea is to deduct the high height of the shaft measured from the top of a benchmark of known value. Like as you all can see the pic, like this. And figure shown is how the depth is measured by a steel tape. So in this, you can see a reflector. So this is the structure, and in that, the figure showing depth measured by EDM. The important features of EDM are: EDM unit and reflector should be in the same vertical line, and both are mounted on a stable support, and visibility should be good for EDM to operate. So, and that's it guys for today. Thank you for watching my video. My name is Isaac. Signing off. Thank you.